When United States Representative lhan Omar sparks controversy by declaring that she's only in America for the interests of Somalis, it sets off a political firestorm. Moments later, the current and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, responds with a powerful statement that instantly shuts down her argument, leaving the entire studio stunned. This video breaks down the confrontation, the reactions, and the fallout that shook both Congress and the nation. It all began on a cold morning in Minneapolis, just after sunrise. The streets were quiet, but inside a small community event hall, Congresswoman lhan Omar was speaking in Somali to a cheering crowd. The cameras were rolling, but most Americans had no idea what was being said. Yet within minutes, everything would explode across the country. A translator posted the clip online. The words spread like fire. "I am here to protect the interests of Somalia. The U.S. will do what we tell it to do." People froze. Phones buzzed. Newsrooms panicked. A congresswoman, elected by Americans, openly claiming loyalty to another country? It felt unreal, like a wound to the heart of the nation. Back in Washington, shockwaves hit Congress. Even staffers who never cried felt tears rise, not out of anger, but out of heartbreak. How could someone who grew up from American help, American safety, American love, say she was here for someone else? Across the country, mothers who lost sons in the military whispered, "Is this what they gave their lives for?" America waited, trembling, because everyone knew Trump would respond. And when he did, it would shake the entire nation. Inside the West Wing, screens played the video again and again. Aides stood silently. No one dared to speak. The words from lhan Omar hit like a punch to the stomach. Chief of Staff Kimberly Guilfoyle placed her hand over her mouth. Security officials stared at each other, shocked. Even Secret Service officers whispered, "This can't be real." Then, the door opened. President Donald J. Trump walked in confident, calm, but with that serious look he only used when something truly mattered. Someone handed him the phone. He watched the clip quietly, not saying a word. But then, his jaw tightened. He turned slightly, eyes filled with a mixture of hurt and strength, the kind of look a father gives when he sees someone disrespect the country he has spent his whole life defending. "America gave her everything," he said softly. "And this is how she speaks about it?" The room fell into deeper silence. Trump didn't raise his voice. He didn't rush. He didn't need to. Everyone could feel something powerful building inside him, something honest, patriotic, and emotional. "Prepare the press room," he finally said. "I'm speaking to the American people right now." A storm was coming, but a righteous one. Within minutes, camera crews rushed into the White House briefing room. Reporters scrambled into place. Even journalists who disliked Trump felt a strange heaviness, the weight of the moment. Then the doors opened. Trump walked in slowly, shoulders straight, eyes steady. The room went silent. No shouting, no chaos. Everyone could feel something different this time, something deeper, almost spiritual. He placed both hands on the podium, took a breath, and spoke with a calm voice that carried the pain of millions. "Folks, let me tell you something. What you just saw, what lhan Omar said, it broke the heart of this country." The room didn't move. She told the world she's only here for Somalia, that this government will do what they tell it to do. She said their president is her uncle. She claimed a seat in Congress, belongs to Somalia. Trump shook his head slowly. "That seat belongs to Americans." Some reporters swallowed hard. "And let me be clear," he continued, voice deeper, stronger. "America welcomed her, saved her, protected her. We gave her everything, and she chose to betray the very nation that gave her life." For the first time in years, Trump's voice cracked. The whole world felt it. Something powerful had just begun. The moment Trump finished his first calm words at the podium, the clip of lhan Omar's statement, "I am here to protect the interests of Somalia," began blasting on every major screen in America. Airports, diners, living rooms, hospital waiting rooms. Everyone was suddenly watching the same shocking moment. Across the country, people cried. Not out of anger, but out of deep disappointment, a pain that felt almost personal. Veterans sitting in VA clinics clenched their fists. Mothers hugged their children tighter. Old men who hardly ever spoke about politics wiped tears from their eyes, whispering, "We gave her a home, and this is what she thinks of us?" In Minnesota, her district was boiling with confusion. Some supporters tried to defend her, but even they looked shaken. Somali elders who survived war and chaos sat quietly, feeling torn in ways they had no words for. One elderly woman in Minneapolis whispered, "America fed me when Somalia couldn't. How can she say this?" Meanwhile, inside the White House, Trump wasn't angry, he was hurt for the country. And when he stepped back up to the mic, the world leaned forward, hearts pounding. He was just getting started. Trump looked around the room slowly, letting silence pull every eye toward him. "You know," he began, voice soft, "America is a place that saves people. We don't abandon them. We welcome them. We lift them up. And when someone who was rescued by this country says she's only here for Somalia, it hurts." Buddy Brengen. Even reporters who usually attacked him sat frozen. Trump's expression wasn't angry, it was the expression of a father defending a home he built with his own blood and sweat. "I watched the video," he continued. "Everybody saw it. She said she would use our system for Somalia. She said their president is her president. She bragged that America will do what Somalis here tell it to do." He paused, and for the first time, a crack formed in his voice. "America deserves better than that." The room fell silent. No cameras clicked. No one coughed. It was as if everyone forgot how to breathe. Trump then placed a hand on the side of the podium, steady, unshaken, and full of strength. This country saved her life. It educated her, protected her, gave her everything. And now she throws it in our faces? Folks, that's betrayal. It was the first time many Americans had ever seen Trump speak with this mix of sadness and righteous fire. The moment was unforgettable. As Trump's words echoed across America, the studio broadcasting his speech erupted into raw, unfiltered emotion. Producers stood behind the cameras with their hands covering their mouths. A young intern in the corner began crying quietly. She had grown up with a father who served in Afghanistan. And she whispered, "My dad didn't fight for this." News anchors sat speechless. One anchor, usually hostile toward Trump, blinked rapidly as tears filled his eyes. He tried to continue reading the teleprompter, but the words blurred. He finally whispered off mic, I didn't expect this." For the first time, America wasn't split into sides. Everyone, even critics, could feel the weight of the truth. In the control room, a senior technician slammed his hands on the console and said, "This is history being made. This is the real America speaking." Phones in the studio lit up with messages from citizens everywhere. "Trump is right. We feel betrayed. She doesn't love this country. Thank God Trump spoke up." Then the camera cut back to Trump. He looked directly into the lens, eyes steady and full of protective strength, like a father shielding millions of Americans from a painful lie. And he was far from finished. Trump leaned into the podium again, and the room felt colder not because of anger, but because everyone could feel the weight of the truth settling inside their chest. "America is not a hotel," Trump said softly, but firmly. "You don't check in, take all the benefits, and then tell the people who welcomed you that you're only here to work for another country." The words landed like thunder. In that moment, a cameraman, a man who had covered politics for 20 years and never once cried on the job, blinked hard as his vision blurred. He later admitted that his father, a Vietnam veteran, used to say those same words about loyalty. Then Trump added something that hit even harder. "We saved her life. We saved her family. We gave her a future. And she chose Somalia first." The room wasn't just silent. It was devastated. People around the world were watching with hands over their mouths. Parents hugged their kids. Veterans nodded slowly, tears rolling down their cheeks. This wasn't a speech, it was a moment of national heartbreak. Trump wasn't dividing the country. He was defending it. And America felt it in their bones. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away in Minnesota, lhan Omar's district was spiraling into emotional chaos. The clip of her saying, "I am here to protect the interests of Somalia," replayed over and over in local community centers. Even lifelong supporters stared at the screen in disbelief. A Somali-American father who had escaped war sat in his car in a grocery store parking lot, shaking his head. Tears streamed down his face as he whispered, "My children were born here. I love this country. Why would she say this?" A group of elderly Somali women gathered in a circle behind an apartment building. Distressed. One of them, who survived famine, cried quietly into her hands and said, "This country fed me. I can't betray it." Even people who respected Omar felt blindsided. The betrayal felt bigger than politics. It felt like a wound to their identity. Local security concerns spiked. Some community leaders rushed to calm tensions, but it was too late. The emotional firestorm grew bigger by the minute. And then, as if the moment wasn't heavy enough, Trump's speech began broadcasting on every channel in Minnesota. People dropped whatever they were doing. Everyone turned to watch, desperate for clarity. Back at the White House, Trump continued speaking, and the country leaned closer, holding its breath as if listening to a father figure trying to heal a wounded family. "Folks, America is a gift," he said quietly, his voice softer than usual. "A gift millions of people pray for. A gift she received, and she threw it away in one sentence." A single tear slipped down the cheek of a young press assistant standing against the wall. She quickly wiped it, embarrassed, but she couldn't help it. Her older brother had died serving in the Navy, and hearing Trump speak like this made her chest ache. Trump continued, "When someone tells you where their heart truly is, believe them." And she told us today, her heart is not with America. His voice cracked again, not because he was angry, but because he genuinely loved the country he was defending. For a moment, the building felt like a church, quiet, sacred, emotional. Reporters swallowed hard. Camera lights flickered. Millions of Americans felt tears roll down their cheeks. Trump then straightened up, strength returning to his voice. "And I'm going to protect this country. Every single time. Believe me." The nation felt a shiver, because Trump wasn't done. Not even close. News of Trump's emotional speech spread through Capitol Hill like a lightning bolt. Inside Congress, conversations froze mid-sentence. Staffers stepped out of elevators, holding their breath. Even lawmakers who rarely agreed with Trump felt something shift inside them. Televisions in every hallway replayed lhan Omar's statement, "I am here to protect the interests of Somalia." People stopped walking. Some leaned against walls, stunned. Others shook their heads slowly, as if trying to make sense of something impossible. In one office, a young congressional aide whispered, "My parents came from Ethiopia. They raised me to love this country. This hurts. This hurts a lot." A Republican senator sat down heavily, staring at the floor. "Trump's right," he muttered. "This isn't about politics anymore." Even some Democrats looked uncomfortable, shifting in their seats as the statement played over and over again. A senior Democrat, voice trembling, murmured, This goes too far. This is not what America stands for." The contrast between Trump's emotional defense of America and Omar's words felt like night and day. The air inside the Capitol felt heavy, like a family discovering a painful secret. Nobody knew what Trump would say next, but everyone knew he wasn't finished. Trump lifted his head, his eyes steady and filled with that unmistakable mix of strength and sadness. "Folks, America didn't just give her a home," he said. "America saved her from a place with no safety, no peace, no hope. This country gave her a life millions can only dream about." He paused, letting the truth settle into every heart. "I know Somali families," he continued. "They're good people, hardworking people, grateful people. Many of them love America more than some people born here, and they are hurt today, really hurt." A soft gasp came from a woman in the press row as Trump's voice cracked again. America gave her everything. Food, safety, schools, a passport, freedom, even a seat in Congress, something sacred. Trump's voice grew stronger. "And now she says she's here only for Somalia? That she will use our government for them? That their president is her uncle?" He shook his head in disbelief. "That is disrespectful. That is ungrateful. That is betrayal of the highest kind." A man in the back began crying openly. Not because of politics, but because Trump had reminded him how precious America truly is. And America felt it everywhere. While Trump spoke in Washington, Minneapolis was shaking emotionally. In a Somali cafe, men watched Trump's address with their hands clasped tightly together. A deep sadness filled the room. One of them whispered, "I built my life here. My children pledge allegiance to this country." Why would she say that? A teenage girl with a backpack entered the cafe, tears rolling down her cheeks. Her mother followed, wiping her own face. The girl whispered, "Mom, the kids at school are asking if we're loyal to America too." Her mother hugged her tightly. "We are Americans," she said softly. "Don't ever forget that." Reports came in of Somali taxi drivers pulling over on the side of the road, crying openly. Not because they hated Ilhan, but because they felt abandoned and embarrassed by her words. Even some of Omar's strongest supporters felt the sting. A local community leader said in a trembled voice, "What she said, it puts all of us in danger. It makes us look ungrateful when we're not." Minnesota was crying. America was crying. And Trump's emotional truth-telling was being felt like an earthquake in every heart. Everyone knew the fallout was far from over. And inside the White House, a new moment of truth was coming. Back in the White House briefing room, Trump paused. A long, heavy pause that made the air feel thick and electric. The entire country felt it through their screens like the nation was holding a shared breath. He looked down at the podium for a moment, almost as if he were gathering every memory of what America had done for millions of immigrants who came here to find hope. Then he lifted his head again. "You know," he said softly, "my mother came from Scotland. She loved this country more than anything. She taught me that when America gives you a chance, you honor it, you protect it, you don't use it." A quiet tear slid down the cheek of an anchor watching live from New York. She whispered, "Why is this hitting me so hard?" Trump continued, "It breaks my heart that someone elected to serve Americans, all Americans, could say they're only here to serve another nation. The people of Minnesota didn't elect her for Somalia. They elected her for America." The words weren't loud. They weren't angry. They were heavy, painfully honest. And millions of Americans felt something shift deep inside. Trump wasn't just speaking. He was exposing the wound and healing it at the same time. Meanwhile, in Minneapolis, the emotional dam finally broke. In Cedar Riverside, a Somali-American grandfather sat in his apartment, staring at the television. His hands trembled. He whispered in Somali, "America gave me everything I have. How can she say she is only for Somalia?" His daughter, a nurse still wearing her scrubs, sat beside him and quietly cried, "Dad, they think we don't love this country because of what she said." People at work were whispering today. On Lake Street, a local grocery store turned the TV volume up, and customers crowded around. Some covered their mouths in shock. Others shook their heads in disbelief. One man whispered, "This is the worst day for our community." A Somali college student streamed Trump's speech on her phone. Tears ran down her face as she whispered, "I just want people to know I love America. I worked so hard to belong here." Why would she say that? No. For the first time in a long time, people weren't fighting about politics, they were crying together. The community wasn't angry at Trump. They were angry at Ilhan for dragging their loyalty into question, for making them look ungrateful when many had sacrificed everything to be Americans. The emotional storm was spreading faster than anyone expected. After minutes of soft, heartbreaking truth, Trump finally did something that sent chills nationwide. He raised his voice not in anger, but in raw, powerful conviction. "And let me say this clearly," he boomed. "America is not Somalia's playground. America is not here to be controlled by any foreign country. America is the greatest nation on earth, and we will protect it." The room shook. Reporters jumped slightly. Camera lenses quivered. Millions watching at home felt goosebumps race down their arms. Trump continued, "Stronger now. We didn't save her so she could betray us. We didn't rescue her family for her to spit on our kindness. If she wants Somalia first, then she can go to Somalia first." His hands gripped the podium. "We need leaders who love this country. Leaders who cherish this flag. Leaders who remember the blood and tears that built this nation." Across America, people stood up from their couches without even realizing it. Some saluted the TV. Others placed hands on their hearts. Families hugged. Veterans cried silently. Trump wasn't attacking. He was defending fiercely, emotionally, unapologetically. And everyone felt it. As Trump's powerful words echoed through the briefing room, The staff, watching from the back, began reacting in ways no one expected. Sarah, a young communications assistant who had never met Trump personally, wiped tears from her face. "I've never heard any president speak like this. He actually sounds heartbroken for the country." An older Secret Service agent, a man known for never showing emotion, stood with his arms folded tightly across his chest. His chin trembled slightly. One of his co-workers whispered, "Are you okay?" The agent nodded. "I served overseas. I carried the flag home for soldiers who never made it back." Hearing her say she's only here for Somalia, and hearing him defend America like that, it hits hard. In the West Wing hallway, senior advisors paused, listening carefully. Even those who were normally tough, strategic, and politically sharp stood motionless as Trump spoke. One quietly said, "This is why the people love him. He talks like America matters." Phones buzzed nonstop. Messages from across the nation poured in. Trump is speaking for all of us. Finally, someone has the courage to say it. America is crying, but Trump is healing us. The emotional atmosphere was growing thicker by the minute, and Trump wasn't close to done. Across the country, the Minneapolis studio where lhan Omar had spoken just hours earlier was in complete chaos. Producers replayed the clip she made, the one where she said, "I am here to protect the interests of Somalia," and the entire room froze each time those words hit the speakers. A young female producer sat at her desk shaking, whispering, "How did she say that on camera? How did she not think this would explode?" The translator who leaked the clip stood in the corner, pale. "I didn't expect this reaction," he said quietly. "I thought maybe some people would be upset, not the whole nation." Camera operators stared back at the screens, watching Trump's response live. One of them muttered, "He's not yelling. He's not insulting. He's just telling the truth in a way nobody can ignore." Another producer took off his headset and said, "This is the moment the country will never forget." She exposed herself, and he exposed the truth. Then the studio fell into a heavy silence, because Trump, in his speech, suddenly shifted from emotion to something deeper, something that made everyone's heart thump louder. He was about to reveal the full weight of what Omar's statement meant for America. Trump looked directly into the camera, not with anger, but with a deep, protective seriousness that cut through every home across the nation. "Listen carefully," he said slowly. "When a sitting member of Congress says she is here only for another country, that is not politics. That is a threat to our unity." The room stiffened. When she says their president is her uncle, when she brags that America will do what Somalis tell it to do, that is not harmless. That is not a joke. That is not a slip of the tongue. His voice lowered, rich with emotion. That is someone telling you, openly, that her loyalty is not to the flag behind me. A reporter's hand trembled. "She was given refuge here," Trump continued. "Given a future. Given a seat in the United States Congress, something sacred. And she used all of it to advance a foreign agenda." He tapped the podium lightly. "That is dangerous." The entire country felt a sharp shiver. Trump wasn't attacking her. He was warning America, and the warning hit deeper than anyone expected, especially in Minnesota, where families now cried in fear of being misunderstood, overlooked, or mislabeled because of her words. What Trump said next would anchor the nation in a way only a true leader could. Trump steadied himself, gripping the podium with both hands. His voice softened again, pulling the nation closer, as if he were letting every American in on a painful truth. "Folks," he said, "this isn't about politics. This is about loyalty and love for the country that saved her." The camera zoomed in slightly. The intensity in his eyes made millions of viewers feel like he was speaking directly to them. "She said she is only here for Somalia," Trump continued. "She said she will use our system for Somalia. She called their president our president. She called him uncle. And she bragged that America will do whatever Somalis here demand." Every word felt like a blow. He nodded slowly, almost grieving the moment. "When someone tells you who they are, believe them. And she told us today." A grandmother in Texas watched from her living room, clutching a folded American flag that had belonged to her late husband. Tears rolled down her face. In Los Angeles, a group of Marines watching together fell silent. their jaws clenched. Trump wasn't yelling. He was unveiling a betrayal calmly, painfully, truthfully, and the entire nation felt the sting. In Minneapolis, the emotional fallout grew heavier by the minute. At a busy intersection near the university, Somali-American Uber drivers pulled into a gas station one by one, unable to keep driving. They stood together in a small circle, all of them deeply shaken. One man wiped his eyes and said, "We escaped Somalia for peace, for opportunity, for America. Now people look at us differently because of her words." Another shook his head. "My son serves in the U.S. Army. What does she mean she's only here for Somalia? She doesn't speak for me." Inside a Somali-run bakery, the TV replayed Trump's speech. A teenage boy watched, tears collecting at the bottom of his eyelids as he whispered, "I just want to belong." An older woman placed a hand on his shoulder. "You do belong," she whispered back. "You are American. Don't let her words steal your pride." Even community leaders who supported Omar were overwhelmed. One elder sighed. "She has brought shame to all of us today." The community wasn't turning against America. They felt America turning against them unfairly. And Trump's emotional clarity was making everyone confront a truth no one could ignore. Back in the White House, Trump inhaled deeply, a heavy breath that signaled something big was coming. Then he said it. "I want every American listening to understand this. I will always defend you. I will always defend this country. And I will never, ever, let someone in Congress put a foreign nation above the United States of America." The room froze. "Not on my watch," he added. A wave of emotion swept across the country. A father in Maryland hugged his daughter as she cried, saying, "This is why people believe in him." An elderly veteran in Florida stood up from his wheelchair and saluted the TV. A group of factory workers in Ohio stopped their machines, staring at Trump's face with tears in their eyes. Trump continued, this time voice rich with conviction. "She says she is Somalia first? Fine. But America will always be America first under my leadership. This is the land that saved her, the land that gave her everything, and I will protect it with everything I have." Millions felt a lump in their throat. Trump wasn't just shutting her down. He was reminding America who they were. And the emotional impact was breathtaking. While Trump's words continued echoing across the nation, Capitol Hill fell into a rare state of silence. In a private office, a group of Democratic staffers sat glued to the TV. None of them spoke. One finally broke the silence with a shaky breath. I can't believe she said that on camera," he whispered. "This is going to follow all of us." A Republican congressman leaned back in his chair, rubbing his forehead. "This isn't about politics anymore. This is about national loyalty." And Trump, he's striking the exact emotional nerve the entire country feels. Down the hall, a Somali-American congressional aide stood frozen, tears streaming down his face. "I came here legally," he whispered. "I worked hard. I swore an oath to America, and she just made us look like traitors." In the cafeteria, even cleaning staff paused to listen. One elderly janitor shook his head and said, "No president has spoken like this since Reagan. He's not reading a script. He's speaking from the soul." The House chamber, normally loud, divided, and chaotic, was stunned into stillness. No one had expected Trump to strike this deeply. But he wasn't finished. Not even close. Outside the political bubble, real people were breaking down emotionally. Quietly. Powerfully. In Virginia, a Gold Star mother sat in her living room surrounded by photos of her son who died fighting overseas. She whispered at the TV, "He died for this country. And she says she's only here for Somalia?" In Minnesota, an American-born teen of Somali descent cried to his mother, "Mom, will people think I don't love America because of her?" His mother hugged him tightly. "No, baby. You are America. Don't let her words change that." In Texas, a long-haul trucker pulled over on the side of the road, overwhelmed. "I never cared about politics," he muttered, wiping his eyes. "But hearing the president defend this country like that hit something in me." Even in small towns, diners, gas stations, farms, people watched Trump's speech with their hands over their hearts. He wasn't dividing the country. He was protecting something sacred, the idea that America should be loved, honored, defended, not used. In that moment, millions realized this wasn't a political fight. It was emotional. It was personal. It was about loyalty to a nation that had given so many people a second chance. The room went silent again as Trump leaned closer to the microphone, his tone shifting into something almost fatherly, protective, raw, sincere. "Let me make something clear," he said softly. "America is a gift, a precious gift, a place people dream of, a place people trying to reach." A hush washed over the White House. "And when someone comes here, when this country gives them safety, freedom, opportunity, and even a seat in Congress, they owe this nation their loyalty." He paused.